Hey, it's Drybear. And there are a ton of systems and decisions to make in the gameplay portion of Dragon Age the Veilguard. So today I wanted to give you a spoiler-free beginner's guide that will go over all the mechanics, systems, progression, and everything without spoiling the story for you, so you can spend more time enjoying the game rather than understanding what's being thrown at your face. The first decision you'll need to make is going to be making your character, and obviously you can play around with the appearance. There isn't really any major decision making around this. There will be some options that will be granted by the faction of your choice. So if you're able to pick a faction that you really like and everything that connects with your character, all of that is going to have some minor impact to the story, but it's not going to be the end all be all. The thing that you want to make sure you get right, other than liking the way your character looks, is going to be the class that you choose, because as is with Dragon Age games, you cannot change this later. This is locked in for the entirety of the playthrough. There are going to be a lot of different play style options for the class you choose, but once you choose one of these three, rogue, warrior, or mage, you will be locked in for the rest of the playthrough. I'm not even aware of any mods yet that allow you to change it, because the loot that you get, the things that come out of chests, and some of the things that show up in shops and otherwise are greatly impacted by what class you are, so it's locked in for that choice. Now I have a full video going over all three of the classes, so I'll leave a link to that down below. The general gist of it here is you have dual daggers and a bow with rogue, you have sword and shield and a two-handed weapon with warrior, and then you have staff plus dagger and a magic orb with mage. And they generally have a lot of different playstyles and specializations that you can go into. You'll be able to hit explore and see what they're called here, but generally you have those options there. And if you want to play with more of a dodge-based AoE focused playstyle, go with mage. If you like lots of stagger, good single target damage, and lots of disruption from the warrior, go with that class. And if you like a mix of fast moving abilities, dodging, agile attacks, as well as some ranged as well, go with rogue, or just go with whichever one you like the most. Now I'm on a fresh save level 1 character that just has open combat in the side of a zone. It doesn't show you anything about the story. There's no content here, that sort of thing. So we're here on this level 1 character. Let's go over the gameplay mechanics so you know what to look for. A lot of these are very poorly explained in the story or not explained at all, so it's worth walking through them. Every character will have 2 different weapon sets that you can run with, and you'll be able to, especially if you're on warrior or mage, be able to swap between them using X on PC. You will have both of these equipped at all times, which means in your inventory you'll swap between the two, and you have those equipped, and they do have their own functions. Every weapon in the game will have a light attack, which is going to be left click on PC. I'm guessing it's one of the triggers on console, but it's just going to have its own hit combo, so you'll swing through that. You can cancel this with dodges and movements and things like that, so you have that going for you as well. It also has a heavy attack, which you can use at any time. It is shift left click on PC, so you're able to do some heavy attacks there. These generally have higher stagger and in some cases have ability implications as well, and you'll find combinations in the passives for your skill tree on top of that. There is also an alternate fire for every weapon in the game. This is right click on PC. For the sword and shield, it is a block. If you time this at the right time, it will cause a parry. This is just hitting a parry right when the target hits you. When your indicator for damage turns yellow, you can parry those attacks. And every weapon also has a defend option, which is different than the alternate fire. And the reason I call it alternate fire is because some weapons don't have this right-click guard. It'll be like a beam, or they'll shoot an arrow or something like that. But weapons also have an additional ability called a defend. If you press Q, you can do different things. For sword and shield, it throws the shield. It says the same thing for two-handed on warrior. You might do things like being able to block or parry or create barriers, things like that. But it is a defend option that allows you to do another ability. And these are built into the core of each ability. And you'll also find those listed down below next to your resource as well. Next, every weapon in the game has a charged attack. And this is from holding down your light attack. So if you hold down your light attack, there'll be a charged attack option. Again, this is different for every weapon type in the game, and we'll do different things. For the two-handed warrior, you'll be able to do this. There's a pretty straightforward. You just kind of have a wind-up attack on there. These generally are good at dealing damage to like armor or even barriers, or doing high stagger damage as well for all weapons on top of that. All characters have the ability to dodge. This is spacebar on PC, so you can actually dodge in every direction. If you hit it once, you will actually just do a single dodge with very minimal recovery, but you have the option to hit it twice, which is a roll or a long dodge. So if you do it twice, you'll roll, the mage will teleport, the rogue will do some kind of fancy footwork, so you do some kind of option options there. Now, notice one thing about this is this has a longer recovery on it, so you can dash and then double dodge, and this will give you more distance and more iframes on it, but it will cost you a little bit of recovery time, and that you will kind of pause for a second at the end of it. So it's a kind of a risk reward sort of thing. Next, let's talk about the different states that enemies can be in. I just have a basic screenshot from combat here with one of the very early on monsters you'll encounter a lot of. The red HP bar is pure health, and you'll find in the skill tree there are modifiers that deal bonus damage to health. They're talking about the red HP bar. In this case, you will see a yellow HP bar. This is armor. This is generally more affected by charge attacks or heavy attacks or skills. So like big hits will do more damage to armor than they will to HP, and will help get that armor down. So you want to do more charge attacks if you're trying to burn through armor, and until that armor is gone, they will take reduced damage from light attacks and glance things off as that goes. Above it is the stagger bar. This is basic stagger mechanic. This is in most action games. If you fill up that stagger bar by doing stagger damage to the target, they will stagger. You will get a takedown animation where you can walk up to them and press E on PC and be able to do a special takedown for extra damage, and some encounters may have extra interactions that I won't talk about, but you'll have an option there to stagger them and take them down. This is a very common mechanic in most action games. The last health state to talk about is going to be a barrier. So we've seen the red HP for health, the yellow HP for armor, and the last one is going to be barrier, which you see in the bottom left there. That is the blue HP bar. This one is mostly, you do a lot more damage to this with certain abilities and effects. This is a magical barrier on the enemy, and note that while this barrier is active, they have that blue icon at the left side of their HP bar. If you don't damage them for a short period of time, it will start to regenerate. So this is kind of like a time-sensitive thing. If you don't break the barrier and start damaging them, they will start recovering the barrier over time. So you kind of want to finish off the target that has the barrier, and just go all in on it so you don't waste the damage that you could have spent on other enemies if this could kind of stop and reset and get back on top of it. And lastly, for gameplay, let's talk about the detonation system, the combo system. There are a couple status effects in the game, like weakened or sundered or overwhelmed, that you'll see on screen right here. And then the ability itself will show this as a option on top of it. It is a very basic 1-2 combo system. So there are certain abilities that apply a certain effect, like sundered or weakened or overwhelmed, and there are certain abilities that detonate those effects. If it has an option to be comboed, your abilities and your companion abilities can both do these. So you can have options where you apply weakened and your companion detonates weakened, or you have a companion that applies sundered and you have an ability that detonates sundered. This is a way for you to do a big chunk of damage to the target. If you do this to a target, it will trigger a large explosion dealing damage to the target and all targets inside of it, and it's worthwhile to do because it does a lot of free damage that normally you wouldn't get anyway. So it's worth considering what combinations you have in your team lineup on your abilities and your team abilities, and just combining those together at the right time. If you have the option to detonate on someone, it will show you on screen with a detonate icon saying, hey, this person has an effect and you have something that can detonate it. It will also let you know on the main pause menu, like when you're in combat, that there is something available that you could do for the combo. But just be aware that combining apply and detonate together is a big core part of doing bonus damage in combat. Next, let's talk about gear progression and building your character through the gear and equipment that you have. The system in this game is incredibly simple and straightforward. It has its pros and cons, but let's walk through how it works. The general idea is that there's going to be a selection of items available for your slots. All items in Dragon Age Veilguard are character specific. There won't be items that your character can use that your companions can also use. All items are specific to either the main character, the Rook, or one of your specific companions. It will have their icon next to the item, and it will show that on it as well, and you will be able to use it on that character exclusively and nowhere else. When you want to make items better, they come in default rarities. You will get duplicates of these items by either buying them from the shop, looting them in chests, or getting them from combat. And every time you get duplicates of these items, they will start ranking up in value and rarities. You can see on screen I have a whole bunch of different items. They have different rarities on them as well. When you get duplicates of that same exact item with the same name, it'll go up in rarity, and you can increase the quality at the workshop inside of the main hub. As you increase the quality on these, if we just look at a gold one here, it has no passives on it. But if we look at a green one, for example, you'll see it has a whole bunch of different stats that are locked. Leveling up the item, increasing the quality and increasing the rarity of the item unlocks all those passives for the weapon. And so you just want to be looking out for vendors that might have items that you're currently using. Buy them for the vendor so those duplicates automatically merge in your inventory and the item will get stronger over time. And you also see what changes about the item when you get a duplicate of it. So I'm going to shop here, just showing an item that changes. You can see that it is the same item. It'll unlock one of the passives when it goes up in rarity. It'll also go up in quality as well when we buy it from the vendor. The stats on it will also go up and get better and better. So the amount of items you have in the game isn't really all that big, but you can make them get stronger and stronger and stronger as long as you're frequently collecting duplicates of them as you go through the story. You will also find other slots for your gear that will be combining with or have synergy with your build. And so all of these different slots here will all be able to contribute to your overall build, and you'll want to kind of pay attention to it as you're putting it together. So there's different stats that you'll get from your headpiece, your chest piece, your belt, your amulet, and your 2 rings that will all go together with your abilities and how everything functions as a whole. Later on in the story, you will unlock the workshop in the main hub and will sometimes appear in other places. And with this, you will be able to upgrade your gear, which will add the pluses to the gear to unlock more of their passives. And you'll also be able to enchant a single buff onto the gear itself. This will be reliant on the level of the workshop that you have, but will give you a nice passive for the gear that you can unlock and place on it to customize your build further. All shops in the game function on a reputation system or an upgrade system. So you will either need to sell valuables to vendors to give them more reps so you can level up the shop, or you'll be able to find collectibles in the game for the workshop to make it stronger over time. And this will unlock new options and sales items in the shop itself, so you can get more duplicates of items and make them better. Additionally, you will unlock a rune system. And this one actually makes a huge difference in your playstyle, and it's worth highlighting even in a beginner's guide. You will unlock the ability to slot runes into your dagger here, and each of these can be activated and placed on cooldown. They have tons of different effects. You can apply elemental effects, reset your cooldowns, give you some kind of bonus, increase stagger, freeze all enemies nearby, apply status effects, apply things that can be detonated. There's a whole bunch of effects, and you can collect these all over the place all throughout the story, so they're worth collecting. You can have 3 runes equipped at one time. Once you finally do unlock the runes, you will have the ability to swap between them. So on PC, I can press C here to swap between the runes I have equipped, and then I'll press V to activate the rune. Once you activate a rune, you can't swap them anymore. It goes on cooldown, and you're locked with it for the time being, but it is an extra power up that you can use, and a lot of them make a very big difference in your build and can make some pretty serious impacts in your playstyle and how you play. So I want to highlight them and recommend using them to supplement what you're looking for out of the game. Next, let's talk about the shops in the game, because the system for shops is kind of bizarre. It's very strange. But the way this works is that you will have, like I mentioned, a rep for the shop itself, and you'll be able to add rep by selling items to the shopkeep. Inside of the shop, there will be items that you can buy all over the world that have value to them. They're labeled just as valuables. There's things like decor and cosmetics, things that you can do and things that can make things better for you in your main hub. But for this, you're just looking for valuables. You'll find a bunch of them while exploring. You'll find them in the shops that you can buy. And I wouldn't recommend doing this at the beginning of the game, but as you get further along in the game, you have some extra gold to play around with, I would just start buying valuable items from the shop so you can go to a different area and sell them to a vendor. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. You'll sell valuables to a vendor. It will give you gold and rep with that vendor. And as you level up the vendor, it will unlock more options. You can see here on the screen, I have these. I need shop level 4 to be able to buy these items. You just need to get rep with that shop. So about a third of the way, maybe halfway through the game, when you have excess gold, just start buying valuable items from vendors. You'll see them listed under that category, so you can just buy them and as you find them. And you can also see what vendor rep you have. I don't want to open the world map, but you can see what vendor rep you have, and you can level up the shops to unlock new items there. But that's the system. You find valuables, you sell them to vendors, you can buy valuables from vendors and sell them to other vendors and build up rep that way. And lastly, I want to leave you with the general directive for companions, not showing which companion is on screen, but you have a rep level or a bond level with each companion. Running missions or quests with companions will increase their bond level, and also choosing things that they enjoy or like in conversation will increase your rep level with them as well. It is possible to romance all of the companions in the game, and to do so, you just need to get high bond level with them by running with them or choosing the options there. During dialogue, there will be flirt options as well. It'll show up as a little heart when you hover over it in the dialogue options. Choosing that will give you more and more rep to that bond level, and you'll have to start doing their side quests to complete it. Unlike other RPGs, the romance quest lines in this game are not very complicated. You just need to keep bringing them along with you, do their quests, and choose their flirt options. You'll eventually just keep progressing it. The one tip I have for you is that sometimes if you go to the main hub, the lighthouse in the game, you will have to zone out and zone back in to refresh if there's any new companion quests or scenes with that companion, if that's what you're looking for. But I don't think any of the romance quest lines are complicated. It literally shows their name in the quest log. Just do all the quests that has their name in the quest log, choose the flirt option every possible, and kind of pick options during dialogue that you think they will like, and that will raise up their rep. Once you get high enough rep, you can then work to get closer and closer, and I've actually finished the romance quest lines with them as well. And yes, there's like one kind of very tame PG romance scene at the end of the game based on if you're in an exclusive relationship with someone or not, so you have that option for you. But I wanted to mention it because I know some people are very interested in, you know, connecting with the companions and that sort of thing. And that's it. That's all the systems and items and things you need to know about Dragon Age the Veilguard to get into the game and play. I think some of these are not well explained, so I wanted to put out a video that shows them, and hopefully with the proper zooming and pausing, I've been able to avoid telling you anything or revealing anything about the story or the progression, but helps demystify some of those as well. Let people know if there's any tips you have for the game down below in the comments. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.